Well, it's great to meet you, and I want to begin our conversation with
Yeah.
living through the last 3.5 years, getting through the pandemic. How did you
Yep.
get through it, and how did it change you?
Okay. Well, it was difficult to get through it, like with anybody. I was fortunate enough to have a remote job, but we had a lot of uncertainty around our area. As a matter of fact, part of getting through the pandemic was we had purchased a dog because I had concerns about roving scavenging bands across the land. Home security was a big thing.
Uh-huh.
So we bought a German Shepherd and raised her at home. But we were fortunate because my wife worked at home as well. We did all the right things, got all the boosters and whatnot, but we still wound up getting sick. Both of us did. Um, yeah, I'd say that fortunately we both had a good job that we worked from home.
That's good. That's
I
the
don't know if
thing.
we could have survived any other way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's the thing that I'm starting to realize now as this new variant goes through, like we've gotten our shots and boosters and it's just still happening. And
Yeah,
it could just be akin to the nature of this thing being so baffling because there's no rhyme or reason to any of it, you know?
yeah.
So it's
Now, did
wild.
you catch it as well?
Oh yeah, I got it a couple times. Everybody in my house got it a few times, and we're talking
Yeah,
about everybody got boosted and got the
yeah,
shot and everything, and it's weird, very, very weird. So,
yeah. Yeah, I think it was difficult too. My parents were and it's not an old age home. They were in a retirement apartment complex, and at one point, somebody got it in the complex, and so they sequestered everybody to their rooms. Nobody could
wow,
leave their apartment, and so it got really bad. We got very concerned,
yeah,
and then my daughter got it. She lives in North Carolina, so my wife and I drove down there to take care of her because she had a baby.
yeah,
And that's where she and I picked it up from. And I have to be honest with you, Joe, if I had to do it again, I would.
yeah,
It's your child and you risk everything for him. But
yeah,
my wife and I both caught it while we were down there. But you do what you can to survive.
yeah. You certainly do. So let's get to the essence of what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of
Sure.
a bunch of third graders. It's career day, and one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
I teach people how to better talk and listen to one another. And I teach people how to understand very complicated topics in a very clear and elementary manner. So I translate tough stuff into easy to understand stuff.
That is a life ombudsman we all need. I mean, you got to figure how many things do we muck up because we don't understand each other?
I literally just wrote a newsletter about that. Here's a funny story for you. We were just on a cruise, my wife and I were their two daughters. And my one daughter says to the other, after dinner, bar pool dancing. And my other daughter goes, absolutely, that sounds great, but I got to get changed first. The other one said, for what? The other one said, I got to get my suit on. I said, get your suit on for what? Well, one of them wanted to go to the pool swimming. The other one wanted to go play pool in a bar. So they're going back and
Uh-huh.
forth about the word pool. It was just hysterical. But
It's
yeah, it
crazy.
happens constantly.
All the time. So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
Actually, in third grade, I wanted to be a veterinarian. How about
Okay.
you?
Oh man, I wanted to be a cop. I saw Chips growing up. I was like, man, that's
That
it.
was a great show.
It was.
So
And
you and I
then
have got to be around the same age then.
yeah, uh-huh, yeah, we're probably I just turned 51.
Okay,
So
I'm 57, so we're close.
yeah, we're there. Chips was around. Yeah, and then I think once I got older and realized the real row, I was like, I don't know. I'm out. I'm checking out. But
Yeah.
it's wild. So talk to me a little bit about where you were born and raised and how this path in your life led to where you're at and helping people.
Yeah, I was born and raised in a little town called Northampton, Pennsylvania. Nobody's ever heard of it unless they've grown up within like 10 miles of it. It's right outside of Allentown and Bethlehem, which
Okay.
people do recognize from
Yeah,
Pennsylvania. I
yeah.
used to always joke with my kids that we were born where Jesus was born. Bethlehem was right down the road. So was Nazareth. Uh, But the reason I went this path was I was brought up in an age where kids are to be seen and not heard. So I went to a lot of business meetings. I went to a lot of business functions where my job was to be polite and just shut up. So I was privy to a lot of really cool things and a lot of important men in our community. And my dad owned a very prominent business in the community. And, the bottom line was that as kids, you don't appreciate it. But as you get older, it just has a way of seeping into the brain and how people communicate. So I wound up going into sales and I was very good at it, but I wanted to teach others how to be better at it. And that kind of led me into training and development in the business I have now, which is helping people understand how to communicate a lot better.
So I have a dream of one day going to Allentown and putting a quarter in the jukebox and putting that song on, but I think I'm going to get the absolute hell beat out of me if I do.
If you really listen to the words of that song, it's not super flattering for the town, but
No, it's not. And I've talked to a lot of people. I don't know what it is. So when I was a kid, my grandfather had a sibling that was married to Billy Joel's sister, I believe. So there was,
really,
yeah, there was some weird,
wow,
very light string connecting us, like
right.
used dental floss connection. But we ended up getting autographs as kids from Billy Joel. And I mean, we were the bee's knees. I mean, the kids thought we were,
That is amazing.
but I've talked to people when I hear Allentown and they're like, don't do it. Just stay away. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. It's one of my things where if I could just walk into a bar in Allentown at some point and just hear that coming on, all of my worlds would connect like a Lego. It would be beautiful.
That is hysterical.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, boy, when that song came out, oh,
man.
yeah, it was all that. And everybody's like, Allentown. It's like, listen to the words, man. It's not that great.
I know it's not. It certainly isn't. So who's been a hero for you in your life?
Uh, I would say that a hero for me was Lee Iacocca.
My dad too. When I grew up, that's so weird you said that. I've asked this so many times. My dad had his biography. He was a used car salesman for a
Oh,
few many years.
okay.
So he loved Lee Iacocca. Anyway, yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, he actually grew up around the area where I live. There was a hot dog stand that was very famous in Allentown called Yakko's Hot Dogs,
Yeah.
and Yakko was a version of Iacocca. So I just always thought Lee's philosophies were interesting. He wrote a book called Where Have All the Real Men Gone,
Yeah.
which is a great book. And his philosophy about just doing the right thing for $1 a year, taking that prestigious position and not really taking a pay for it. I just think he's part of the old school of men that really knew what it took to succeed. And I'm not saying modern generational men don't understand. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying he was kind of a tougher Winston Churchill type of breed of person, I think,
Yeah.
than we see today.
It's an old world bedside manner kind of mentality.
Correct.
There's a
Yeah.
different way that the other generations rolled. And in our age, we admire that because we're seeing the sea change of generational flux. And yeah, so
Yeah. And I see guys like that as, we always have the term tough love. Tough love was kind of their language.
yeah,
And so when praise came, it meant a lot different. And I think we're in a day and age where praise has become too much the norm.
yeah.
Everything is awesome. You get a medal for showing up. And I think in that, our ability to be recognized has really dropped off a cliff because we're recognized so much that the absence of it for even a second is devastating to people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. So in the same vein of Lee, if you can meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend time with them, who would it be?
Well, I would say, and if he's listening, please reach out to me. I would love to meet Matt Caberline.
Okay.
Matt Caberline is leading the charge right now on the anti-aging movement. He is a very extremely well-known researcher in the movement of the biology of aging. He currently has a project called the Dog Aging Project that is looking at how dogs age and how we can get them to age more healthy. But I think he just radiates brilliance and yet he's humble at the exact same time.
Yeah.
He doesn't make overly audacious claims that aren't supported by science. And yet he's championing the cause for every single person on the planet.
Yeah.
I just think it's amazing. I listen to him as often as I can, and to meet him, that would be just incredible.
Well, hopefully he listens. Hopefully it happens. So,
That would be great.
yes. So, what is your daily motivation? What gets you out of bed? What gets you to do this work that you do?
My own improvements, I think. You know, I teach communication skills every day, and one of the questions I'm asked most often is, are you really good at it? And the answer is no. I have a lot to learn. And I think every day I get up realizing that. And somewhere along the line, Joe, my attitude towards it shifted. When I was younger, it's like, I'm not wrong. You're just not communicating with me well. And now I'm at an age where it's like, wow, it was me.
Yeah.
And so I'm constantly striving to improve. But the nature of communication is that you're never going to be perfect. There's always areas to shine up. And by helping other people, I can not only see where I need to improve, but I can also help them improve. And if that's improving their relationship, their ability to get $1 million deals,
Yeah.
their ability to get a contract signed, all the better. But
I'm a
what gets me up is self-improvement.
Yeah, for sure. I was a communications major and I've always been fascinated with it and obviously with podcasting. And I always find that like when I use my slow motion video on my camera, I love it because you see things that you don't realize. And then when I do editing of interviews and I re-listen to it, I'm like, wow, that was profound. I didn't get that then. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes,
there's a level of reverb that has to go into communication. And I think that's one of the problems with your daughters. Like it happens so fast. The words
exactly.
went boom, 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 and then your brain's like, okay. And then it's like, no, don't get your swimsuit on. Wait, what? And I do that with interviews all the time. I'm like, that was deep. Like I wish I would have told them at the time that was earth moving what you said, but it was in this whole flow of all of these sentences coming together, and it's fascinating how it works.
Well, let me take the chance to say something I hope you go back and listen to. I admire what you do. I think from a communication perspective, podcasting is a pure art form. And interviewers like yourself take it to a different level because I can imagine that you constantly revamp your game, that you
Yeah.
constantly think differently about what you're doing. And in a large way, that's self improvement.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to take my hat off to you and say that what you're doing is not only admirable, but it's almost the ultimate form of self improvement and improvement in communication.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I love doing this and I feel I've been doing this since 2011 with jazz and then I've gotten into other realms. I can't believe it's hip now. I can't believe it's this thing that's in modern culture. It's in Netflix shows. It's like people talk about podcasting, but I
Yeah,
think it's very therapeutic. I think the fact that we can come together geographically divide like in these large spanses and then just as people in this divided nation, I wish I could make it clear to people that at the end of the day, as divided as America appears to be, we are much more united than ever before because the karma will always come out in the end. And we all are going for the same thing. We want families. We want a quality of life. We want all of these things that are inherently a part of us being evolved humans. And I think that the fact that we can communicate that and be a part of this process in podcasting. And I think too, we grew up with NBC, ABC, and CBS. And whatever they picked for
right.
us, we
Yep.
got fed. But now we
Yes.
got millions and millions and millions of people, and the democracy of liking something is going to make it popular or not. And it's not because someone's advertising on it. It's because what you're doing is quality. And I think that's a good evolved world that we've gotten to. So it's a good thing.
That's a brilliant point. Never really thought about it that way.
It's fun. I love this modern era. I'll listen to Joe Rogan and he just talks about how much fun it is from our age to see all this. Are you kidding me? Like I remember when Back to the Future was on and they were talking about hoverboards and
Oh, yeah.
FaceTime. I mean, this is all like a part of our reality. And it's like, how cool is that? So it's
Hey, Dick Tracy watches.
right. I know. It's what I'm saying. Like the whole thing. And it's
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So it's cool. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Wow. Never been asked that before. I would say at my heart and my base, I am a good father. I think I'm a good husband. I also think I'm a trustworthy friend. Uh, but probably at my deepest core, I'm humble and aware of my flaws and wanting to improve on those.
So if you could go back in time and see one event, speaking of time travel, you can see one event in human history with your own eyes. Where are you going?
Uh, wow. Time is a pretty large span. I think
Yes.
I would want to go back and I think I would want to see Stonehenge built
Yeah. Oh,
or
yeah.
Easter Island. I would want to see exactly how that worked without heavy machinery and maybe just unveil a life mystery and maybe even see a pyramid built. I love the fact that we have a lot of theories, but I also love the fact that there's just enough uncertainty involved that leaves room for anything from, I don't know, aliens to whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
So I'd almost want to see just a mystery unfold.
that would be great. Jake, if anyone out there wants to hire you, learn more about you, reach out, anything about your world, how can they do that?
Best place to reach me is on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as Jake Stahl. I do have a website, jakestahlconsulting.com, but either of those ways is perfect to get to me.
Jake, this has been illuminating and wonderful. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your stories. You got a great energy. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Best of luck. Have a great holiday.